Podcaster and writer Alison Rosen, back with us again. So you actually have had embryos frozen, or at least one, right?
No, not yet. My husband and I are going through IVF right now, so this is all stuff that I feel like we are dealing with on it. Not Sofia and Nick. I wish we were dealing with them on a daily basis. One of them seems like a delight, at least. And I'm not going to tell you which one I think is the delight. No, but we are doing this right now, and it is such a time-intensive, emotional, crazy, incredibly expensive process that somehow you aren't aware is what you're going to end up doing until you are one day there trying to do it. But there's also so much paperwork involved, and there was one morning where they handed us this huge stack of paperwork, like right when we we switched from the thing before IVF to IVF, and it involves, saying what you want to happen if you freeze embryos, what you want to happen to them in the situation where you break up, where something happens to one of you, where something happens to both of you. And that was the one actually where my husband, because he's a better person than I am, was like automatically was just like, yeah, of course we would donate them to a couple in need. Aww. And I thought that was sweet, but in my head it's like, well, what's going to happen to our babies without us? But of course, at that point, they'd have other parents, so they're fine, I guess.
But you both have to agree on that, right?
Yes, well, so yeah, you both sign the paperwork, but in the situation where you dissolve the union or you get divorced, the decision cannot be unilateral, meaning it can't just be that one of you wants to bring these embryos to term and the other one doesn't. You have to both be on the same page.
So no doubt this was clearly spelled out for Sofia Vergara.
And
I mean,
sure because
the Beverly Hills is where the frozen embryos are, apparently.
Right.
So, I mean, come on.
So not only am I sure that they did the paperwork at the clinic, for them, I'm sure that wasn't enough, and I'm sure they had their own lawyers draft up something as well. So if I put my lawyer hat on, which is a cute fez, I don't think he really has a case here. But it does raise a lot of interesting questions about when does life begin.
And you actually met Nick.
Yes, I did. He was a guest on the radio show that I was formerly on, and he came in one day. And very nice, very unassuming, the kind of guy that if you were to encounter some kind of trouble on a yacht, you'd want him around, because I feel like he knows his way. He's just like, I'm no good.
He'd throw you a life ring.
Exactly. It's like starboard, aft. I don't even know the right terms. I'm no good on the open seas, but I think
starboard is right.
How do you know?
I was in the Navy.
Okay. That's how you know. Now I know. Right. And he was there to promote his crunchy onion condiment product. I don't know if you know. That's his thing. These little like nubs of fried onion called Onion Crunch, and he also has it in pickle flavor. And I remember thinking it's so crazy.
It sounds like it's made for pregnant women.
I know. You're right. And I was thinking, I can't believe Mr. Dash here goes home to Sofia Vergara. That doesn't make sense to me, and apparently it didn't make sense to her either. But he was nice.
Right.
But did you get the impression that he was very religious? Because this is turning into this, right to life debate between the two of them, that he claims she wanted to destroy these embryos.
And she claims that was never what she wanted. She claims that and by the way, the word destroy in all the paperwork, that's not the word they use. They say thaw and they say discard in a lawful manner.
Because
they don't
that's
actually,
how the embryo is destroyed. They essentially thaw it.
Yes, right. I'm just saying they don't say we're going to destroy your baby sickle. It's just understood. But I'm sorry. What was the question?
No. Did you get the impression that
he's religious? I did not. I didn't get the sense that he was extremely religious. He might be, but I know that he is right-wing and he's conservative, and he's been retweeting right to life stuff.
Right.
Yeah. When you go through these contracts, though, these embryos are looked at as property almost, right?
Yes.
Rather than...
Yeah, I mean, it does become part of what you agree on in the divorce.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't blame him. If I could have Sofia Vergara's baby, I would probably try too. Who wouldn't want her DNA?
Here is the question, because I've talked to a bunch of different people now to sort of take the temperature of what people think is actually going on. And Lisa, your former guest, feels like he is it's an emotional thing. He's a spurned lover, which is kind of what I think. But then I've also talked to people, talked to a lot of people in your building. They're probably like, who is this lady who's asking us about embryos? It's me. And there are people, especially people who've been through IVF, who feel like because he's gone through the process, he has formed an attachment with these embryos.
You don't know.
It's harder for me to believe that one. I don't know why.
We will have you back.
Okay.
And see how this sorts out.
It's going to come down to the contract.
In the meantime, check out Alison Rosen's podcast. It's called Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. It's available on iTunes, but it's also on AlisonRosen.com. You come back soon. Good
I
luck
would love to.
with
Thank
your
you.
Allison.
freezing and IVFing and all of that.